So the Shield split up in 2014, if I remember my timelines correctly, where Seth Rollins turned his back on his Shield brothers and split off the team into their three separate ways. Well, I'll say three separate ways. Dean and Seth feuded. Roman just went off and pretended like nothing had ever happened. But one of the things that people have often said about the Shield, sort of post their breakup, was that Dean Ambrose was a guy you could have put more stock in. Well, WWE could have put more stock in. Roman wasn't really getting over. Seth was doing very well as a heel, but then got injured for a long time. And there was this big crowd swell behind Dean Ambrose. You know, people saying that he could be an almost not Austin levels, but certainly an Austin type character that people are just really super into and behind. But WWE never pulled the trigger on him. You know, it took them a long time to put the title on him. And even then, it was on SmackDown, which was always treated like the B show. So I suppose the question is, was or should Dean Ambrose have been the breakout star of the Shield?
Oh, the breakout star. I definitely feel like there were some head-scratching decisions which made him seem like less of a star than he was. Like having him lose Hell in a Cell was just a monstrous idea, considering they did it via hologram and then he went into that awful feud with Bray. Like, I mean, if they weren't going to kind of continue it past then, he definitely should have like won Hell in a Cell, because yeah, he was getting really electric crowd reactions. Like when Roman went out with a hernia at Night of Champions, and then Dean showed back up after having his head like smashed with the cinder blocks, the fans went crazy. So it's obviously they really saw something there, and I think part of that was due to the fact that everyone thought that he was going to be the heel coming out of the Shield, because he was the one that was getting in Roman's face and causing all the dissension. He's the one who disappeared during the Wyatt Shield match. Like he was definitely the best talker of the three. I personally, I think he's the least dynamic in the ring of all three, like including Roman. I think Roman generally puts on more exciting matches. I think Dean Ambrose is a really good storyteller, but like in terms of like, you know, in-ring matches matching up to the storytelling hype, I felt a bit let down watching some Dean Ambrose matches. Less so with Jon Moxley, but Dean Ambrose is a character that that for me just really fizzled out in WWE, and that's a combination of things. Like when your heart's not in it, I don't think you're going to put on the best stuff. But like he had the Brian Pillman like intensity to be a lot bigger than he was. Absolutely. Should never have covered anyone in a mustard. Should not have lost to a hologram. Shouldn't have lost a match because a TV exploded in his face.
That's the one I was going to mention. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, breakout star of the Shield, I'm not so sure. I think they actually chose right with Seth, because that run, tragic the way it ended, but like SummerSlam, amazing. Like he was becoming like this Spartan god of, like, he was just putting on these like hours of wrestling every month. So yeah, like I think what they should have done is use Dean's talking to get Roman over.
Yeah,
because Seth could do both. It's fine. I think Seth probably deserved to be the breakout star, but they really mismanaged the raw, bloody, like there's a huge amount of talent in Dean Ambrose, especially from a character side, and I think they really dropped the ball, especially on the character.
Yeah, and I think it's seeing Moxley now in AEW as the champion, and actually just everything he's done since going to AEW and becoming Jon Moxley, all the stuff he's done over in New Japan as well. Kind of when you see what Moxley is doing, you're like, that's what we should have got when the Shield first split. I feel like this was what Moxley's wanted to do all along. It's what Dean Ambrose really should have been, but the way the WWE saw him was that he's, wacky Dean is not it's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but quite rightly so, because he was just wacky Dean.
The wacky line.
Yeah, I was going to say the wacky line was the name of one of his moves, and that's how WWE saw him. It's like, oh, you're a bit wild and wacky. I remember once going to a WWE Raw taping in London where Wacky Dean was GM for the night because Kurt Angle couldn't make it. And it wasn't a very fun show to watch because Wacky Dean was a bit of an annoying character. And I do think that he did become quite annoying. But if you'd have had a more Jon Moxley style of that character breaking out of the Shield, I think you could have done so. I think you really could have made it, particularly as you say, because you had that he was getting those electric reactions. But to your point, and I think they might have gone in the right direction, really, with Seth as the big heel, because that run, John, is something you can make fun of now. But I really enjoyed Seth's championship run. In the Authority, I thought he was a great heel in that role.
Yeah, I think he was a really good cowardly heel. I thought the pairing of him and J&J Security was really funny. The match with him and Brock was really good until he teleported into the Undertaker. And then he had SummerSlam. Like, his match with Cena was fantastic right up until the point where Jon Stewart interfered.
Yeah.
And then his Night of Champions run was fantastic right up until the point where Sting got hurt. There's a lot of actual stuff with Seth, which is like, it's really, really good right up until that finish.
Which is the same as you said that Dean Ambrose thing. Like, the Hell in a Cell stuff was really good up until the hologram. You could argue his match with Bray was pretty okay until a TV blew up in his face. Not a great year for finishes was WWE in 2014 and 15.
No, sir.